What's up guys, it's me again, back at it again from my mom's basement, and I'm going to teach you how to get better at sniping in Phantom Forces. Alright, so the first tip I have, and this helped me out a lot, is that you shouldn't be afraid to play close range. So like, I've been talking to some people who asked me how to get better at sniping, and they were like, well, as soon as I pull out a sniper, some dude with a shotgun just appears behind me. But the thing is that you have your own shotgun. It's literally just a one bullet shotgun. Like, most snipers will one shot to the torso in close range, so you gotta take advantage of that, just no scope them. And in case you didn't know, sniper no scopes are actually 100% accurate. They just come out of the actual barrel of your gun, so you have to shoot it slightly at an angle. Like, they'll usually come out around the bottom right of your reticle when you're close, and it's less of a difference when they're farther, but it's not quite centered like if you were to scope in or quick scope. Alright, so my second tip is that you don't actually need a scope. You can really use any sight in the game just as long as you like it. So unlike automatics in this game where you generally want a low magnification sight, anywhere from 1 to 2 times, usually lower, snipers you don't need that because it's a one-shot gun, you don't have to deal with recoil. So you can just use any scope you want as long as you're comfortable with it. So just because you see pro players using a certain sight doesn't mean you have to use that one. Like, you see in all these clips I'm using the coyote sight. Alright, so my third tip is that you need to learn your playstyle. So there are 2 types of playstyles and a range in between these. So for sniping, you have aggro sniping, which is generally close to mid-range. You're way up in their faces. You see it in some of these clips here. And then you have support sniping, which is like medium to long range sniping. Like, you're usually sitting like in a building just picking people off. And like, I describe my style right in the middle. I just kind of just play opportunistically. Like, if I gotta go in close, I gotta go in close. If I can just sit in the building right by their spawn, I'm gonna do that. So you just gotta find your own playstyle and what gun works best for you. And that also goes for sights again. Like, if you play a very aggro playstyle, you might want a close range scope. Like, that's why I use the coyote. However, if you play support sniper role, then you might want an actual like PM2, so that way you can have the advantage at long range. Now the fourth tip is to know your gun. Well, what do I mean by that? I just mean mostly know the ranges at which your gun's effective. So you want to know around how far you will kill in the torso and how far you'll kill in the head, which most guns it's all range for the head. So like the intervention, for example, like you want to have like a mental image of how far they can be before you need to start aiming for the head to kill them. So if they're at mid-range and I can tell that they're within my torso kill range, I'm going to aim for the torso. However, if they're farther than that, or I suspect that, then I'm just going to either go for the torso and go for the 2-shot, or aim for the head. Alright, so tip number 5 is to find the right secondary for you. So personally, I use the Executioner because if I miss my first intervention shot, if it's up close, I can pull out my Executioner and also hit a one-shot torso. It's a great panic weapon. Plus you have 6 bullets, that's up to 6 kills. However, a lot of people like to use something like the Tech 9, where you can just panic spray if you miss, which it's all preference really. It's just I don't like the Tech 9 as much because you have to reload more. Or if you want something that can basically fight on its own, you might pick the Scorpion. So really it's just figure out what you're lacking. Like, if you think that you're not good at no-scopes in close range, a Tech 9 which can just obliterate anything might be good. Or if you think that you want something that can also one-shot, you might go with the Executioner, you know? Alright, now tip number 6 is to make sure you have the right attachments on. So, like I said, scope doesn't matter that much. Barrel matters a lot though. So, a long barrel will increase the range that you can one-shot torso, and your muzzle velocity, those are both incredibly important stats for snipers. So as for other good barrel attachments, the muffler was really good before the update since all it would do was reduce the RPM. However, that doesn't matter on bolts. But the thing is, this update, they actually made it reduce velocity, so it's on in these clips, but I think I'm actually going to replace it now. And on guns that don't have a long barrel, I might actually start running the default suppressor since all it does is change suppression and doesn't actually affect damage anymore. So that might actually be really good. I might make an updated attachment video, we'll see. Alright, now as for grips, there are 2 of them that are the best for snipers because they're kind of designed for them. The rest of them are designed for automatics. So you have a skeleton grip, which increases your ADS speed, but on full screen scopes, so not regular sights, but on full screen scopes, it increases your sway speed. So if you're a quick scoper or you use a regular sight, it doesn't matter. However, if you use a scope, you might want to get the angled grip. Now it doesn't decrease your ADS speed as much, but you have less scope sway with it. So if you scope in for a long time usually, instead of quick scoping more like, then you're probably going to want that instead. As for the other category, there's usually 3 options that are the best. Sorry, no, 4 options that are the best, but it depends on the gun. So, you have remove stock, which makes you faster, but it increases recoil a little bit. That's not that important though, because it's a sniper. Then you have straight pull bolt, which allows you to re-aim as you're cycling the bolt. So if you shoot, normally you can't aim back in, but you can if you have straight pull bolt, which is really good if you're a very fast quick scope type player and you have to deal with multiple enemies. So that's generally the best. I use that the most. Now you also have the regular laser, which if you don't want to use the other options, or you don't have the option to, like you don't have it unlocked, this allows you to see directly where you're no-scoping. The final one would be, on some guns, there's like an extended magazine or something. That's usually the best on those certain guns. I mean, it's usually tied with straight pull bolt, so it's just whatever you prefer. Alright, now tip number 7 is kind of a short one, but basically, don't reload when you're empty, if you can avoid it, because it takes significantly longer to reload an empty clip than it does even if you just have 1 bullet left. Alright, tip number 8 is that sniping in general is just hard. It's one of the harder skills in Phantom Forces to learn. Like, you can pick up an M4A1 and do decent, but in a sniper, it's going to take you a while. Like, at first, I really didn't use snipers much until, like, rank 80 or 90, but now, like, 28% of my kills are from snipers. They're my favorite class now. They're fantastic. However, it took a while to get there, so really it just comes down to, you're going to want to put in a lot of practice, just go for it, you know? Like, don't worry about being bad at first, because you are probably going to suck first, but you're going to get there. Trust me, I was really bad with snipers at first. Tip number 9 is to watch better players. And this actually helped me a lot personally because, again, like, especially with aggro sniping and aggressive sniping, that's just generally harder to do than passive sniping. So a lot of how I got good at it was I just watched better players like Spirals or God Status, and that helped me a lot to see what they did right and then incorporate that into my own gameplay. Alright, tip number 10 is to get neon skins because it makes you better at the game. Psych, no, but the actual tip is that positioning is actually the most important skill for sniping. You might think it's something like aim, but in reality, it's a lot more about where you are rather than how good you can aim, since you could be standing in the middle at the lowest point of the map with the greatest aim in the world, but you could just get shot by someone behind you. However, if you're putting yourself in good positions, you're going to be able to use your aim better and get a lot of kills. Like, if you're in a building with a lot of cover, height, as well as visibility, just outside of their spawn, you're going to be able to get tons of kills and they won't be able to shoot back at you, or at least they won't be able to kill you. So yeah, pretty much the highest point on the map, like the crane on Crane Site or Mirage, like those aren't always the best because you have no escape route there either. You're just going to get shot by the one guy you got to kill after he respawns. Okay, so I've saved the best for last. I actually included it as a bonus tip. So pretty much, if you follow this tip, you actually don't have to worry about anything else I said in this video. Just subscribe, that's it.